stop using Ledger immediately. So crypto Twitter blew up recently over the announcement of Ledger Recover, which is a service that allows people to recover their seed phrases if they ever lost them. But the thing that Ledger users are most concerned about is security, because Ledger has already experienced a data breach where they lost 1 million of their customers' emails. So really, it looks like security isn't in the forefront of their minds. So I really found out this whole Ledger story through crypto Twitter, and I came across Fubar's thread, and he said stop using Ledger hardware wallets. Now that, guys, is a great hook because it got me reading, and I learned that Ledger Recover basically sent out your private key. And this is what I agree with Fubar. A hardware wallet should have a secure enclave where the private key never leaves the device under any circumstances. And this other thing that he mentioned, that the code path to send private key material over the internet will be on your device, whether you opt in or not. So it's not about whether you opt in into Ledger Recover or not. The option is there. Hackers can take advantage of this, software bugs are more likely to leak, and Ledger's business trajectory is one of wanton disregard for customer safety. Phil adds a really good point here. The heart of the matter here is that Ledger Recovery encrypts your seed into 3 shards and then sends them to 3 different entities who can reconstruct it after ID verification. This completely changes the crypto paradigm we used to, because we always say not your keys, not your crypto. The crypto paradigm is that your keys should never leave you, because we saw what happened with FTX, Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi. Should I go on? This update can potentially allow Ledger to conduct a full KYC recovery in the future, enabling third parties like governments to force withdrawals from user funds. And you know, guys, that's something that I think about often, right? If you need to escape the country, if you try to escape with pounds of gold, you're gonna get stopped by TSA. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're gonna get stopped by TSA, and they're just gonna confiscate it and take it away from you. That's what's great about Bitcoin. That's what's great about crypto, right? You just take your ledger with you. But now, if the government knows that you have crypto, that you have Bitcoin, and you try to leave the country, they're not gonna let you leave the country. So let's break down how Ledger Recovery is to work. So your identity is verified using your ID and a selfie. The problem is we don't want to be identified in the crypto world because the government can go after you and keep tabs on you. Ledger Nano X makes a copy of your secret recovery phrase and encrypts the copy, and this is the backup of your secret recovery phrase. This backup is linked to your verified ID, and this backup is broken into 3 pieces. Each one is sent to 3 custodians: Ledger, CoinCover, and an unnamed provider in the US, which we heard is EscrowTech. Each of these custodians are based in the EU, UK, and the US respectively, so each face different government regulations. And when you need to recover your secret recovery phrase, you're just gonna go to Ledger Live, you're going to press a button, give your ID, and then 2 of these custodians will send back the encrypted shards that they have, and that will build up your secret recovery phrase so you can recover your account. So Seth's post here is really good because it goes kind of technical, and I like that because I'm a software engineer. But this is the point that I really stood out to me. So the technical aspects, we have to understand that we have to 100% trust Ledger here because the code for the entire process is closed source and unverifiable. That is extremely important because no one but them can verify that what actually happens, right? And 12, we can't be sure that Ledger's built-in safeguards against someone sending the encrypted shards all to one person, or that Ledger actually sends the shards to 3 different custodians. We can't be sure that the shards can only be decrypted by you. Furthermore, what's completely unclear is how this decryption process during restore actually works. You have to log in and verify your ID, but if decryption can only happen on your device, how does your new device get the decryption key? And 14 says, in case of losing your ledger, someone else must have a copy of the decryption key so they can send that to your ledger when you recover. So if that's kind of confusing for the non-technical people, let me use an analogy. Let's say you left your home with 1 key, right? And you go out there and you party through the night and you lose your key. Now you can't get back home. So how do you get back home? Maybe you call your dad. Well, if there's supposed to be one person who only has 1 key and your dad somehow comes over and magically presents a key, there was a copy of your key somewhere out there in the world. So that means that if your dad had lost a key, somebody else could have picked it up, came to your house, and stole everything from your house. So that's what's happening with what Seth is explaining here. So if you go to ledger.com/recover, you come to their product page. They actually have this video which explains Ledger Recover pretty well, and it's I get it, I get the benefit of it, but for me, I'm just not comfortable with it because I'm a super paranoid person. Other than that, if you're looking for other options, you can take a look at Trezor, right? Trezor is an independent company and they do not take investors, which is in contrast to Ledger, because Ledger has a lot of investors. If you didn't know, now you do. But other than that, let's jump on and talk about this Twitter live space that I would say that Ledger botched. So on the space, the CTO kept mentioning that this service is intended for people like his mother, which is like a boomer or something. And the co-founder also used an example of inheritance for the next of kin. And for me, what I was thinking is that, you know what, Ledger, you just gotta be honest. You needed a subscription model. Your current product set is buy once and you don't need to buy later. They needed money to keep coming in. They needed recurring revenue. And this subscription model is the perfect way to do it. It is also weird that the CEO dissed the Ledger recovery sheet that was used in the past, which seemed kind of weird to me because when you buy a Ledger, they actually send that sheet of paper for you to protect your secret phrases. And then he goes ahead to diss that piece of paper because he wants you to buy into the Ledger Recover recurring revenue subscription model for them, right? So that just didn't sit right with me. And on top of that, remember, it really feels like Ledger is trying to be a bank, right? Because they are pushing this service. But remember, banks is a third party where you're only dealing with one party. But in this case, when you're using Ledger Recover, you're actually dealing with three parties. You're dealing with Ledger, you're dealing with CoinCover, and an unnamed third party that we have no idea but exists in the US. So when it comes to bank, you have one attack vector, right? That's just that bank. But with this one, now you have three attack vectors. You have the three parties that you're trusting Ledger to do right with keeping your sharded secret phrases safe. And I don't know if you watched the live or not, or maybe it's just me, but I really felt like the CEO is just a one big jerkwad, and that's just what I felt. Let me know in the comments if you felt the same, because that's just the feeling I got from the guy. So guys, here is where I stand with Ledger Recover. I still think that Ledger is relatively safe, as long as you don't opt in to Ledger Recover. And if you've watched to this point of the video, you've basically fallen out of the target market for Ledger Recover. But at the same time, I understand the benefits of it. There's things like Alzheimer, MS, multiple sclerosis, and other neurodegenerative diseases. And my grandma actually had Alzheimer in the last years of her life, and it was painful to see her just forget everyone around her, her kids, her grandkids. She just forgot everybody. So that's really painful to see. And I get that there is probably a market of maybe boomers who might feel better to not be responsible for their seed phrases and who trust Ledger enough to pay them $9.99 to secure their seed phrases for them. There's a market for that. And for them, this product, Ledger Recover, is right for them. But at that point, I would say that it's just as safe to trust your bank with your fiat money, or to just go buy a safety deposit box, which costs like $15 per year instead of $9.99 per month. And I don't know, buy gold and just put it in that safety deposit box. I think that Ledger is just not being honest that they need a recurring revenue model. And this is 100% a recurring revenue play. They just won't admit it. They need recurring revenue. They have investors and they're probably pushing for this. Now, if you guys wonder where I keep all my seed phrases, I keep it in an Apricorn. This is how it looks like. This is an encrypted USB. It's military grade. So I have multiple of these, having multiple copies of my seed phrases of all my wallets. So if you want to use the same one, please be sure to check the link below to get your Apricorn.
And myself, I wouldn't use the KYC because I'm not a KYC guy. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think
so. If you guys want to get a Trezor for risk mitigation as well, you can find the link below in the description or the pinned comment. I'm going to make a how to use Trezor video somewhere around here. I haven't made it yet, so when I make it, it's going to be posted right here. But other than that, if you want to still learn how to use a Ledger, which I still think is safe, then you can find the video right here. So go ahead and check that out.